Hey there, you military dogs. Continuing from their encounter with Dr. Marco, Ed finds the central library destroyed. Lust is explaining the need to get rid of Marco's research gluttony before turning their attention to Scar. Hawkeye warns Mustang not to be so open about his ambitions when they are interrupted by reports of an attack, and we discover that Gluttony and Lust failed in their attempt to take down Scar. The Elrick boys get new bodyguards, and we meet Cheska, the ex-librarian who, luckily, has the ability to memorise everything she's ever read. Able to recreate Marco's notes, it turns out that they are a series of recipes. Ed is confident that the notes were written in code, and shows his gratitude by paying Cheska for her help. As it turns out, Ed has a generous annual research grant.
From his research grants, huh?
Did he miss a decimal point somewhere? Wow, how does a boy like that have this kind of money to throw around?
The boys get about researching when Hughes finds them, which leads to him hiring Cheska. We get a montage of their research, and then fast forward 10 days. Finally cracking the code, they discover the main ingredient to a philosopher's stone is human lives.
Silent Breed is people!
Ed remembers Marco's comments about the truth within the truth, and is spurred to dig deeper, discovering the government may be using prisoners to help create the stones. Despite promising they wouldn't, the Elricks head to the location of the 5th laboratory and find guards stationed there. The episode ends with Ed entering the facility, while Ed waits outside, and we are introduced to 2 new assailants. This is another light-hearted episode, on the most part. That is, if you ignore the implications of the stone and the Elrics' dream of getting their bodies back being smashed. Cheska mainly works as a plot convenience to allow a little drama with the boys' search, due to Marco's notes being destroyed and her uncanny ability to be able to recall the information. Her inclusion is used to demonstrate Ed's generosity and Al's wisdom. In this episode, we get the revelation that the main ingredient to the Philosopher's Stone is people.
Silent Breed is people!
Ed refers to it as the Devil's Research, continuing the religious themes from previous episodes. When looking at the history of alchemy, the Philosopher's Stone has also been called the Elixir of Life, which could be used to achieve immortality. It was considered to be the most sought-after goal in alchemy. This is depicted in the show through the Elric's own personal quest to obtain it. Ed refers to God's special way of torturing those that commit taboos, referencing the irony that the road to redemption that they have been on only leads to further sin. On another note of equivalent exchange, the show's opening brings up the question, what is equivalent to a human soul? But how powerful is the Philosopher's Stone, and is it worth that many lives? Mustang shares his ambition openly, and his subordinates notice. The line between confidence and arrogance is thin, and Mustang seems to be balancing that tightrope between pride and hubris, which may come back to haunt him. The episode opens on number 66 attacking Al, while Ed investigates the building. Ed's confronted by number 48, and quickly deduces that 48 is an empty suit of armour, much like Al, and for his insight, 48 gives some exposition of his background. Ed notices that his shoulder feels off, proving his missing screw to his automail plays a more important job than we may have thought. 48 lets out that 66 is the same as him, but Ed reveals a little secret of his own.
Is this companion of yours strong?
Yes, he is. He isn't as strong as I am, though.
In that case, I don't need to worry. You see, we've been sparring partners a long time, and I've still never beaten him.
Outside, Al is fighting 66 before he reveals his own history as a serial killer, and that he is also an empty suit of armour. Unable to best Al in a physical confrontation, 66 plants the idea in Al's head that he may not be real. Ed uses an underhanded trick to get one over on 48, but quickly learns that the head and body are independent of each other, revealing that they are brothers. Cornered, Ed gets the better of 48. Meanwhile, outside, 66 is still convincing Al that he's not real. Ed refuses to kill 48 and his brother, as he considers them to be people. A nice gesture, but it's interrupted by lust and envy. Ed's arm fails him, and Envy lands a knockout. Outside, Al is saved by Brosh and Ross before the building starts to explode, and Envy brings them a wounded Ed. In the prison next door, Kimley seems to be monologuing, reminding us that he's still there. This episode gave some much needed action after the last couple, and showcases the boys' competency. Although we have seen before that Ed and Al are good fighters, the purpose of pitting them against serial killers is a nice way of giving the viewer a way of measuring that level of competency. There is a nice little reveal here too, as Ed points out that he has never won against his brother in a sparring contest, as the scene changes to Al easily outmanoeuvring his foe. 48 finds Ed's mercy amusing, stating that in life, he and his brother were never treated like people. This is exemplified through the numeracy of their name. Ed's assertion that they are in fact real people is tied to his belief in his brother. This belief grounds him, allowing Ed a consistent sense of self. This brings me to 66, or Barry, who opts to outwit his opponents, preying on Al's naivety. Despite what he looks like, Al is still a child, and it doesn't take much for him to question his very existence. It opens up an interesting question of reality and its makeup. The show plays heavy with the themes of playing God and Al believing that he may not be real, that Ed created him, is another way the show explores this theme. Although we know that Al is wrong, you can see where he comes from and his perspective. It wouldn't have been the first time that Ed had played with powers beyond his control. Envy's mention of sacrifices helps to further the plot and opens up representations of other aspects of faith, specifically human sacrifice. It's typically intended to bring good fortune and to pacify the gods. It's also not lost on me that murder is a sin, like envy and lust's namesake.